Hey, what's good, everybody? It is Darren German from McDonald Realty here, coming at you with the most recent real estate update, the most recent statistics going on for the White Rock and South Surrey area. And I'm going to jump into this right away. But before I do, this is the first time in a very long time where we have seen some incredibly exciting news for anybody that is a homeowner. Some very, very positive news I'm about to share with you. And if you're a buyer, you're going to want to pay attention to this very closely, especially some of the trends that I'm starting to see, because I'm going to be reporting on some stuff that unfortunately might not be working out in your favor, but maybe working out in the favor of a lot of people who have been considering a move or maybe have their properties for sale right now. So let's jump right into it. Of course, when we're talking about pricing, we're going to be referring to something called the home price index. So if you're new to these videos and you're not familiar with what the home price index is, it's the value of a typical home over time. It's not a real house. We're not looking at real properties here, but a benchmark property, kind of your typical property. An example of that is a three-bedroom, two-bathroom property in a specific neighborhood. We're going to watch how that value kind of goes up and down, almost like inflation. So we're going to filter off those one-off sales that can kind of skew the data. So we got an idea of how neighborhoods are actually performing. Okay. Let's start a little bit with the news release here. And I want to show you some things that I've underlined here. This is from the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. It says for the first time in more than a year, Fraser Valley home sales recorded a year-over-year increase for the first time in more than a year, with activity also rising month over month as the spring market begins to show renewed activity. The real estate board had an 11% increase from the month of March in terms of sales on its multiple listing service, and it's 7% above the same month last year. Very interesting. It's been a while since we've seen any of that. Now, market activity is picking up as we move this spring, but again, overall conditions have remained in the buyer's favor, generally speaking, because we're coming out of a pretty nasty place here, folks. The market has been really, really difficult and in a really bad spot for about the last 18 months. So, really fascinating. But that's what the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board reports. Now, this graph right here that I'm showing you, this is all the properties, condos, detached, townhomes thrown into a blender. And the red line shows the greater Vancouver market, which is like Whistler all the way down to Vancouver. It's got the Tri Cities in there, Richmond's in there, Maple Ridge is in there as an example. But look at the little blip going like this, or on your screen, maybe like this, at the very end of that number. And the Fraser Valley, the blue line, North Delta all the way to Abbotsford, has gone up as well. And if it might be a little tough to see there, it might look like it's a little bit flat, but in fact, it actually went up. So let's talk about South Surrey and White Rock now. Let's talk about what's going on. Condominiums. So sales to active ratio, supply and demand. How many people are actually out there on the market versus how many people are actually removing those properties from the market? Well, you can see we are just below that red line. That red line represents what's called a balanced market condition. And that market condition really means that nobody has any advantage. So this is kind of showing me, because we are slightly below that still, that in the condominium market, there still is a bit of advantage for the home buyer out there. Okay. But the fascinating piece about that is the fact that we have seen values of condominiums climb now 2 months in a row. The benchmark value of condos. So this is the best tool that we have to really determine what is happening with real estate values in the area, has now climbed 2 months in a row. Guys, look at this. In the last month, the data is showing us that the benchmark price of a condominium in South Surrey and White Rock has climbed over $17,000. Now, that's still down about $30,000 year over year. But if you're someone who was sitting on the fence, maybe thinking of buying a condominium 2 months ago, they just got a little more expensive. Now, this market, because of how many places, and in this case, condominiums are actually available versus how many are being on, or actually on the market trying to sell, we are kind of in balanced market territory. I mean, you got the prices going up, even though there's still lots of inventory out there. So who really benefits from that? Well, kind of both parties, sellers and buyers actually do. So I'm kind of determining that there's really no advantage to either party in this market right now. Activity has improved, and it looks like it's going to be continue to improving. The spring market, of course, is here, and this is true for all property types, which is typically when the most amount of properties actually transact. More people are actually looking to do stuff in terms of both selling and buying. We know the rates from the Bank of Canada didn't move. There was an announcement recently, and probably a good chance they're not going to do anything for the remainder of the year. Now, buyers, you got to pay attention to this stuff, because I'm going to show you some other stuff in here that is going to be very fascinating for you to watch. So pay attention and make sure that if you're thinking of buying something, you don't want to be caught with the market. going up again and again and again. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but I'm sure you'd probably like to pay less than you would like to pay more, right? Townhomes in South Surrey, what's going on? So again, look at our balanced market. We're right in that red line, meaning it's showing that there's really no advantage in terms of being a buyer or a seller right now. Both parties kind of have an equal footing. But that said, again, 3 months in a row, we have seen the benchmark value of townhomes in the neighborhood increase. Now, no different than condos, no different than detached homes, which we'll touch on in a moment. There is micro markets in this area. South Surrey White Rock's a very broad area. It's a big area, right? If you're familiar with the area, you live here. It's a huge area, right? It's gigantic. Surrey, in fact, is one of the biggest, the 11th biggest municipality in Canada. That just shows you that South Surrey White Rock, how big that is alone in comparison to the rest of Surrey. But why do I tell you that? Well, as an example, townhomes in Grandview versus townhomes in Ocean Park, they might not be doing the same thing. And in fact, they're not. I know they're not. This is kind of a broad stroke, but it gives you an idea of what is happening in the townhouse market right now. In fact, anecdotally, with our listings in the neighborhood, we're starting to see foot traffic really, really increase in the people that are actually coming in to check out our listings. 3 months in a row, guys, month over month, that market is up almost $10,000. Now, over the last year, they're down about 7,800 or 78,000 rather. They're down about $78,000, but 3 months in a row, we've seen prices increase. Something to pay attention to. What happens when prices increase in townhomes? Well, usually that means that people are going to have to revert to a condominium if they can no longer afford a townhouse, which then puts pressure on condominiums. Let's talk a little bit about who the advantage is in this market. Well, really, even though it's showing a balanced market, I think the advantage is there for the sellers. The amount of people actually transacting has gone up. Prices have gone up. Now, we know activity is balanced. That's okay. But 3 months in a row of prices going up, that's something to pay attention to. I've been saying again and again and again, this is the missing middle. This is the affordable bracket for many people, and it gives them the space that they need. It gives them the newness of a home that they really want. It's big enough for the family. These townhome complexes are usually built quite close to shopping and schools and parks and that sort of thing. They've got everything that buyers want. So this is going to be a very attractive product moving forward, and it will continue to be true. Let's move into detached homes, show you what's going on. So detached homes are coming out of a pretty nasty spot. You can see how difficult it's been for people to sell a detached home in South Surrey and White Rock over the last 18 months or so. Now, we have seen increases in that market, increases in the activity in that market, the amount of people actually willing to pull the trigger and actually purchase some of these homes and get them removed off the market over the last couple months. And for the first time that I can report in a very long time, we've also seen an uptick in detached homes. We have now seen the prices of all three asset classes, condominiums, townhomes, and detached homes, go up in the month that was April 2025, 2026. What am I talking about? 2026. So what did that number look like? Well, detached homes went up to 20 by $22,000 month over month. Now they're down 154,000 year over year, but they did go up 22,000 in the last month. Kind of makes sense if townhomes are going up in price, if condominiums are going up in price, somebody sells for a little bit more, the activity's picked up in that townhome, they can actually now go buy something. Well, that's going to push activity into the detached home market. So kind of makes sense when they all start moving in tandem there. Now, who's advantaged in this market? Well, it's still the buyers. They are still coming out of a really nasty place. Detached homes were in the worst kind of category in terms of all the asset classes than anything else out there, just in the amount of product that was out there versus the amount of people that were actually removing it from the market. So there's still tons and tons of inventory to choose from. But prices, 1 month doesn't make a trend. We don't know where that's going to go. It'll be interesting to see if prices continue to go up or if, matching the market activity, of course, the market activity went up, prices went up. That's always fascinating. Or if they'll remain challenged, where it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. But you want to know if that trend happens. A good reason to subscribe to this channel and make sure that you're following what's going on with the market. Now, I wanted to touch on this real quick. Lots of people out there waiting to do something with real estate, thinking that the mortgage rates are going to change. I don't know how much longer you plan to wait, but if you've been waiting for the last 6 months, you've been waiting a long time. If you're looking to get your life started, you might consider reading and doing a little bit of homework on what the economics are out there and what's actually happening with mortgage rates and why the Bank of Canada is choosing not to move them, and also what they're signaling moving forward. We're in a very turbulent world right now, something I'm going to chat about in a moment. But the Bank of Canada has remained pretty steadfast, and the reason that they're doing that is they want to control inflation. So, anyways, do a little bit of research on that if you're curious. Now, I'm going to end this video with some of the market drivers, some things that you need to pay attention to, whether you're selling or buying and you're really just trying to time the market. I don't love the idea of trying to time the market, but I get it. Okay. I think you move because it's a lifestyle decision, especially if you're selling and buying in the same market. You're usually buying in the same conditions. It's kind of like the tide, the tide goes up and down and moves all boats the same, whether they're big or small, kind of like what we're seeing in these stats, honestly. But with that being said, if you are trying to time the market, these are some things that you might consider paying attention to. Mortgage rates. What's going on with mortgage rates? We talked about that. Economic shifts. There is a lot going on with tariffs and wars in Iran and gas prices now. And holy smokes, this world is, there's always something new on the list. But I also wonder how much people are becoming immune and just numb to all the crazy stuff that's happening out there. Look at the stock market. I mean, it's incredible what's happening in the stock market, at least at the day of filming this video, where it's hitting record highs with all the crazy stuff that's going on in the market or in the world rather. So it's pretty fascinating to watch. We know the demand is there, and that demand when it comes back is going to come roaring back, and it's going to come roaring back hard. So we'll have to see the when behind that. Seasonal trends, we are in right now the busiest season traditionally anyways of the real estate market, and we did a really fascinating video on what actually happens to inventory in the spring, what actually happens to prices in the spring, who really benefits in the spring market. And that wasn't just limited to the spring market, but also other times of the year. And that video is on our YouTube channel. So if you want to check that out, you can source that out. Just look for the word spring in our videos and you'll find that. But it is definitely into the spring market right now. And the last one is local policy changes. I really don't think there's anything that our BC government's going to be doing right now. And simply because they're coming out of a pretty hard place where there hasn't been a lot of revenue from property transfer taxes. I think they want to kind of quell any ruffling or rustling of the waters, so to speak, when it comes to real estate, because they've introduced so many things over the last couple of years. We don't know how they might affect going into maybe a more productive, more busy market because it's been such a suppressed market for so long. So I don't think there's much coming out of that camp, but they always surprise me too. So we'll see. Anyways, guys, I hope this video was valuable for you. If there's anything you'd like to see in these videos that I can do to help add value, to help add to the conversation, help you plan out what you want to do with your real estate goals any better, just leave a comment below. Let me know. Let me know what you like. Let me know what could be improved. I'm always happy to feedback because I want to make sure these are really high value for you. All right. And if you need anything, you have any questions about the market, you can always contact me privately. The information is in the description of this video. You can book a time to speak with me or my team, and we'll make sure we get you the information that you're looking for. Thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month.